I'm Sandy Cohen. I'm a physical education health teacher at Forked River School.
And I'm Sue Garner. I'm the Elementary Substance Awareness Coordinator. And we're here to talk to you about parenting. It's a really tough job, and we feel that everybody can use some ideas at times. Sandy and I have some experience with the program that we're going to be talking about. It's called the Systematic Training for Effective Parenting. We've already spoken in one session, and in that session we talked about different parenting styles that are used and why children misbehave and the goals of their misbehavior. Each session we'll be presenting new ideas, and one session builds on the next. So in order to get a comprehensive plan of action in parenting, it's a good idea to watch all of the sessions. As I said, the last session we talked about the fact that children misbehave because it gives them a sense of belonging in the family. It's not that they're consciously thinking, I want to get attention or I want to get power, but they do discover that they get a payoff from misbehavior. Children learn this from the way their parents respond. We as parents reinforce misbehavior every time we react the way our children expect us to. If we respond differently, though, we can send a different message. We can show our children through our words and actions that we are not supporting their misbehavior. In time, this will help our children to choose positive behavior. Now, we need to begin by doing the unexpected. This means doing the opposite of what our children expect us to do, so they won't get the payoff and we won't be supporting their misbehavior.
Sue, could you please give us some examples of how to do the unexpected when our children are looking for attention?
Okay, yes, we talked about the first goal of misbehavior is attention. Let's take an example of a parent being on the telephone and the child is making noise, playing a game, and the longer that the parent is on the phone, the louder the noise becomes. A very typical situation. Usually a parent responds by nagging the child to be quiet or scolding them. Therefore, the child gets the payoff of attention. But when we want to do the unexpected, what the parent needs to do is to ignore the child's misbehavior. They might want to give the child a choice. For instance, they could say, you can go in the other room or you can stay here as long as you're going to be quiet. But the bottom line is to ignore their misbehavior in that situation, but then be sure to give them positive attention in another situation.
And how about when the goal is power?
Well, let's take an example of, let's say that the parents have decided to invite the grandparents over for dinner. And meanwhile, the child has already made plans to have dinner at her friend's house. As soon as she finds out that she's supposed to stay home, they will probably get into a conflict. A fight will begin between parent and child. Usually what a parent does is get right engaged into the power struggle. They're both fighting. Either the parent gives in or else walks away, and both people are feeling angry and hurt. So to do the unexpected, the parent needs to refuse to engage in the battle, either by remaining silent, or it's usually a good idea to actually leave the room. And then at a later time, when both people are calm, the issue can be discussed.
And how about if the goal is revenge?
Well, revenge usually happens when a child is trying to get power in the situation, but is not able to. So then they resort to trying to get even. Let's take the same example. Let's say that the parent insists that the child has to stay for dinner and doesn't give them any ability to say anything. So the child may resort to trying to hurt the parent, and maybe then says something very hurtful about the grandparents. Usually, a parent will respond by trying to hurt the child back without even thinking about it. The child gets the payoff knowing that they have hurt the parent and has gotten even. To do the unexpected, though, the parent needs to refuse to feel hurt and refuse to say anything hurtful back. Also, refuse to get involved in the power struggle. And just as we said before, to then, at a later time when they're calm, to discuss what the issue is.
And our fourth goal would be a display of helplessness.
Yes, an example of that might be, let's say in gym class, the class is playing basketball for 3 or 4 weeks. And perhaps the child really feels unable to be successful and is complaining at home and saying, could you please write me a note to the teacher? I'm terrible, I can't make any baskets, all the kids hate me. And this plays on the parent, and very often a parent will give in. They'll believe in the fact that the child cannot handle this, so they'll give in and write a note to the teacher. Child gets the payoff, so instead, to do the unexpected, the parent has to refuse to give in and refuse to give up on the child. They can try to look for even the smallest things to praise the child about or to encourage them about. Maybe they made 1 basket in 3 weeks. They can focus on that and simply refuse to give up on the child, so that they're going to help them to really learn how to succeed.
Sometimes children have faulty beliefs about how they need to belong. Let's look at these goals and think about, what is a child really looking for when they misbehave, when they're looking for attention?
Well, as you said, children get faulty beliefs. We all have gotten our beliefs from when we were very young, from the experiences that we had when we were young. A lot of times these beliefs are not logical and they may be faulty. However, they are the beliefs that operate in a child. One of the ways a child forms beliefs is by watching what the parent says and does. Parents should be very aware that everything that they say and do is carefully watched by their children and learned from. So, for instance, let's say in a certain family, when parents have a conflict, they actually sit down with each other and they try to work it through, and they are able to compromise. This teaches a child that you actually can solve problems by cooperating. This becomes a belief. On the other hand, if you have parents who really don't know how to solve their conflicts and they fight a lot and they both refuse to give compromise, then a child's going to learn from that the best way to solve a problem is by fighting and trying to prevail over the other person. Another way that children form beliefs is actually by the order that they are born into the family. Just for example, an oldest child may often become kind of bossy, and feeling that they know a lot, they know more than the other children, and that they have a special privilege by having more knowledge and more experience than the younger ones. So they may believe that they are more powerful, and therefore some of their misbehavior may have that goal. A second child will very, very often, it's very interesting, they'll very often behave just the opposite of the first child, because they need to find a way to get their own individual attention. And so you will usually see a second child being very different from the first child. Children in the middle are very concerned with things being fair. So they are always looking for that, and they may tend to try to get even with somebody when they feel that things are not being fair. And sometimes the youngest child in the family has had a lot done for them by the older siblings or the parents because they're the baby, and they may have a tendency to give up more easily because of that. Then there's another area that helps children to form their beliefs. That's actually by the way that the parents do their parenting style. If you have a parent that's very strict and very authoritative and always trying to show who's the boss, that child may feel a need to struggle for their own kind of power. They may feel a need to compete and fight with the parent in that case. Or on the other hand, if you have a parent with a very permissive style of parenting, then this child is going to form the belief that they deserve to get whatever they want. And they're going to feel that other people's wishes are not important.
Well, let's take a look at the goals, and how can we turn this misbehavior into a positive behavior when a child is looking for attention?
Well, The first thing is to make a decision that you want to change. You know, one of the definitions of insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. And we really need to look at the fact that if our children are going to change, we need to change first. So we need to look at the fact of, if we keep reacting in the same way, are we really helping our children? Are we helping them to learn the things that we want them to learn? And we will usually find out that no, we're really not. So we need to first make a decision that we want to change our behavior. And in looking at that, we might want to think of it this way. When I give my child negative attention, do I want that? Is that really my purpose? Do I really want to do that? Or do I want to change my purpose and help my child learn to become self-reliant? Or if my child's goal is power, well, do I really want to prove who's the boss? Or instead, do I want my purpose to be to help my child learn to become independent and responsible? Or if the goal is revenge, do I really want to get even? Or instead, do I want to show my child that I really understand their feelings?
And if a child displays helplessness?
I want to ask myself, do I really want to give up? Or instead, do I want my purpose to be to help my child to learn how to succeed? Then, after we make the decision that we want to change our purpose, here comes probably the hardest part. We need to change how we talk to ourselves. Because usually with misbehavior, we feel angry and frustrated. And we need to talk to ourselves about the fact that we don't need or have to feel angry. Sometimes we may feel like, I can't stand this. I'm never going to be able to change this.
I'm a terrible parent. My child is
Exactly.
a disappointment.
Exactly. So we need to start talking to ourselves in a different way. We need to not take our children's misbehavior personally. And we need to talk to ourselves about the fact that we don't need to respond in an angry way. We actually are capable of responding in a different way. So after we think about these things, next we need to take a look at our tone of voice, the way we speak to our children, and actually our body language. If we've decided that we don't want to react out of anger, we need to make sure that our tone of voice is calm and respectful. And we need our body language to show that we're relaxed and not angry. In order to do those things, a lot of times we need to distract ourselves. Maybe get out of the room, maybe go do the laundry, go to the store. Give ourselves enough space to calm down and let the anger diffuse so that we can show calmness and respect when we talk to our children. And when we make mistakes, because changing our behavior is going to take quite a long time, it's not easy to make changes like these. So when we do make mistakes and we react in the same old way, we need to forgive ourselves, not feel guilty, but just pick ourselves up and try to do it the new way again. And the end is, in all of our parenting, we need to try to keep a sense of humor whenever is possible. We need to try to lighten up whenever possible and laugh at ourselves and whatever mistakes that we make.
Well, certainly dealing with misbehavior in parenting is very challenging. And hopefully after today's session, parents will be able to try and do the unexpected and turn the misbehavior into a positive behavior. In our next session, we will be dealing with effective communication.
And we hope that you will remember that this was just one idea in the whole plan. This is not the total answer to all of the problems between parents and children. It's one of the parts of it. So we hope that you will keep tuning in for our future sessions. Thank you and good luck.